Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to Notes 2.6. So today we're really going to focus on multiplying and dividing fractions that contain mixed numbers. But before we do that, since we have all these different rules, I put the same problem on here 4 different times, but I want us to practice adding it, multiplying it, subtracting it, and dividing it. So pick up on the various patterns that are different between the two. So remember, with adding fractions, biggest thing is we want common denominators, right? Common denominators. That's a huge part, right? So if I look quickly at 2 2/9 and 1 8/12, basically I would rewrite this if I were you vertically. 2 2/9 plus 1 8/12. Ask myself, what is the common denominator? Some of you might be like, all right, I'll just move times 12 times 9. Really, that's going to get you huge numbers. 36 is the common denominator. So times 4 here, times 3. When I add that up, I get 2 8 over 36 plus 1 24 over 36. When I add those together, 8 plus 24 gives me 32 over 36. 2 plus 1 gives me 3. So notice we keep the denominator, we add the numerators, add the whole numbers. 3 and 32 over 36 can be simplified. Divide them both by 4. When you do that, you get 3 8/9. Okay, so that's how you add, right? Let's stay on the same track and do subtraction. So same problem, but we're just going to subtract, right? So again, I'd rewrite vertically if I were you. 2 2/9 minus 1 8/12. So times 4, right? Because again, just like with addition, sorry, this is times 3, my fault. Common denominators are super important. So let's write common denoms. Super important, right? So we get 2 8 over 36 minus 1 24 over 36. So just like we got in the last one, but this one is subtraction. And so here, because we have an 8 and 24, we need to borrow, right? So that's that weird kind of situation where we need to borrow. So I'm going to scoot this down over here. So we have 2 8 over 36. We're going to borrow 1 whole. So that becomes 1, and then I look at my denominator, and it's 36 over 36 plus 8 over 36. So when I add those together, so again, all I've done here, I'm not trying to confuse you guys, is put this right over here. But when I add those together, I get my new fraction of 1 and 36 plus 8. It's going to give me 44. 44 over 36. Minus 1 24 over 36. And now I can actually subtract, right? So 44 minus 24 gives you 20 over 36. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So our answer looks like it's 20 over 36, but we have to simplify, divide by 4. And I get 5 over 9. All right, so those were just adding and subtracting fractions, which we have totally done before. Borrowing, all that stuff. So you know how to do it. Now, the key thing with multiplying and dividing fractions is before you decide to do, all right, 2 times 8, 9 times 12, 2 times 1, you actually have to change these fractions into improper fractions. That's the biggest thing that you have to do, all right? So change to improper. So that's the biggest thing that you have to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 2 times 9 is 18, add it to 2. So really this is now 20 over 9 times. And then again, we're going to go 1 times 12, which is 12. Add it to 8. 8 plus 12 is 20. 20 over 12. Now you don't need common denominators. You don't need to flip anything when we're multiplying. What I would recommend is looking to cross cancel. So look to cross cancel. Because if you multiply these, you're going to get a fraction that's huge, and it's going to be difficult to simplify. So 20 and 12, you can actually both divide them by 4. So this becomes a 5, and this becomes a 3. And then 20 and 9, yeah, you can't actually divide those by anything. All right, so now we just go ahead and multiply straight across. So 5 times 20 is 100. 9 times 3 is 27. Then we say 27 into 100. How many times does this go? I'm going to go ahead and guess 3 times without going over. I could use my reference sheet. It gives me 21, carry my 2. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2, it's 81. when I do my subtraction, I got to borrow. So 10, 9, 19, right? So 3 and 19 over 27, right? So you know how to multiply fractions, right? If you get to this part, you're good, right? But making sure that you change the mixed number to an improper fraction first is important. You don't have to do that with adding. Just like over here, you don't have to find common denominators. They have different rules. So let's look at dividing fractions. So again, before you flip, you want to change to improper. That's the first thing you want to do. Just change it to an improper. And let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to get the same thing, right? So 20 over 9 divided by, and then again the same thing, 1 times 12, add it to 8. Gives you 20 over 12. Now before you look to cross cancel, now flip. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flip this guy. And it's going to be 20 over 9 times 12 over 20. Now we can look to cross cancel, right? So 20 and 20, boom, they both become 1. So we can divide them both by 20. And 12 and 9, we can divide them both by 3. So 9 becomes 3. 12 divided by 3 here is 4. So now we have a nice, easy problem, right? So we're going to get 1 times 4 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3, and look at that. 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over, right? So 1 and 1/3. Okay. So we just did the same problem with just a different operation, and we saw how we could change that, right? Adding to 2 and 2/9 is obviously going to make that number bigger, right? Multiplying 2 and 2/9 by 1 and 8/12 going to make that number a little bit bigger. Subtracting, obviously going to make that a lot smaller, right? You have 2 and some change plus 1 and a lot of change. Going to have a little change left over, and then dividing, right? How many times can I, break this chunk up into 1 and 8/12? So only 1 and 1/3 times, right? So that's a lot, right? But the big thing you need to remember is that each problem, depending on its operation, has different rules. Sometimes we need common denominators when we add and subtract. Sometimes we need to change to improper when we multiply and divide. You've got to remember these rules. The operator is going to tell you exactly what you need to do. So remember, if it says multiplication, use your multiplication rules. If it says addition, use your addition rules. That's the end of part 1.